If you have ever thought, why do I keep doing this? Why do I keep drinking when I say I won't? This workshop is for you. It really is. Because today we're breaking down the pattern behind the starting over, the day ones. And everything on this journey is about valuable feedback. It's not about, you'll hear me say it time and time again. This journey is about progress, not perfection. And I just worked with some new resetters, just really letting you know that when you've got clear direction, that matters a lot more than your speed or how smooth the road is. As long as you're on the road, stay on the road. So let's talk about it. This is a pattern issue. This is not a discipline issue. This is not about self-control and willpower. For years and years, I thought, just get it together, Jen. What is your problem? Try harder. Use everything that you apply to your relationship with exercise or dieting, even though I'm not good at either one of those either. But just apply that go-getter girl attitude to drinking and just try harder and just don't do that. And that did not work for me. In fact, it was counterproductive for me because the more I tried to not drink alcohol while I was valuing it so highly, it actually doubled down and made me drink more, not less, by trying to ignore it, deny it, or suppress my desire for it because I valued it so heavily. So if you can hear me say anything on this first point, it is you are not broken, just your pattern is broken. And the good news, ladies, is that can be fixed. Your pattern can be fixed. You're not weak. This is, again, not a willpower issue. It's not a moral failure. You're not a bad person for wanting to drink alcohol. Once you get going, it's hard to stop. That's not always just you and your brain. It is your brain. It is how we're wired once we get practicing drinking. We create a pathway that creates cravings. But you're not weak, you're just looped. You're not loopy, you're looped. Although drinking can make you loopy, I was in the loop of here's how it went. So I would get a cue, like a trigger, like a signal, like ding, you're at a Mexican food restaurant. Ding, it's 5 o'clock somewhere. I'm at a wedding. I'm sad on my back patio. Whatever the cue was that told me it was time to pour a glass of something. Could have been because I was happy. It could have been because I was sad. It could have been because I was having a great day and I just wanted to keep the party going. Or it could have been because I just felt low-mo in my life and I was like, I can't do anything right. I might as well just drink at it. Whatever, it was a cue. And then the craving. Now, the craving is also physical. Now, I didn't feel like I was physically addicted to alcohol to the point that, like, I know that there is real physical addiction with alcohol. Alcohol is actually a dangerous, addictive substance that does create a thirst for itself. And if you feel like you're physically addicted, it is a different ballgame because you can't just set it down. And you may not know if you are physically addicted to the point that you can set it down. There are multiple ways that you can look into this. You can obviously meet with your doctor. I didn't even know I was going to say this, but I am not a doctor and I don't play one on TV. I don't even claim to be one. I am not here to diagnose anyone or give any medical advice. But if you're not sure if you're physically addicted to the point that you can't stop on your own, go talk to your doctor. Go tell them really what you're drinking. Anyway, I know that I'm working with women in the gray area, but there's a full drinking spectrum. So that's why it's called AUD now instead of are you an alcoholic or are you not? It is not so black and white, ladies. It is not an all or nothing problem or struggle. It is a slippery slope and it is subtle. And as you build tolerance, which I used to think was a good thing, I was like, look at me. I'm awesome. I can keep up with my man and a couple. Yeah, watch me slam this. Not a great thing, guys. Not a badge of honor to have such high tolerance because when you have high tolerance, you also have usually, they go hand in hand in tandem, high dependence because it takes more to get the same effect. So I was like, oh yeah, that's cute. I can have a drink. That's like a joke, like an appetizer to the meal. But for someone who we would consider maybe a lightweight, they would have a glass or two and they'd be like, whoa, that's good. I'd have a glass or two and be like, that was awesome. Let's chase that down. And then I would have another and maybe another. Before I knew it, I was doing the bottle breakdown. But guess what? Even with that amount of drinking, I personally, and again, that's just me personally, could set it down. What I'm trying to say is that craving is physical, but it's also very mental. And the craving is also very emotional because I tied in a tremendous amount of value to my emotional well-being or altered state of mind, really, to alcohol. So then I would get relief. I would take the action of drinking and then I would immediately feel relief. And that ding ding signal or cue that said, "Hey, it's time to drink." And then I felt the relief. Oh man, my body was like, remember that relief. It was not telling me to remember the regret that was going to come later. No, my body was not telling me remember the regret or connect the fact that I'm more anxious after I drink than before I drink. I couldn't make that connection. All I knew in the moment was I was having a cue, like a trigger. I was having a craving. Then I was taking the action of drinking. Then I was feeling the relief. And I'm like, that's awesome. And then boom, then the repeat. And that's the challenge. That's the insidious part of alcohol is the repeat. The pattern has to repeat. And that's the pattern we're talking about breaking. So again, you're not broken, just your pattern might be broken. And that can change because it has a lot to do with our beliefs, our thinking. I wrote in my book, Look Alive, Sis. I had more of a thinking problem than I did a drinking problem. And it's absolutely true. I did. It was more of my thinking than the actual drinking itself. In fact, drinking for me was more like a solution, not a problem. It just wasn't working. And when your brain is wired for efficiency, it is not wired for intention. So remember, our brain is wired to do what is familiar, what takes the least amount of energy and the least amount of resistance. We're just wired that way. We're wired for efficiency. We're not wired for mindfulness. We're not wired to be aware of thinking in the future. We're wired for relief right now, like right now. If things get hard or things are really awesome and you want to celebrate or whatever, we're wired for like immediate gratification. And we live in a dopamine nation, which is the name of an also great book that I've read by Dr. Anna Limsky. It's called Dopamine Nation. And yeah, shout out because we live in such a dopamine driven world that when we are constantly chasing that dopamine hit and we get temporary relief in a drink, we attach the two. And before we know it, we have a literal neuro pathway that is now carved in our brain. No matter what our intentions are, our pattern is hardwired. So that's why bringing in mindfulness and awareness, which is a buzzword, mindfulness, buzzword, no pun intended. That's why we have to be intentional and override our natural propensity for relief because we're going to remember the relief more than we remember the regret in the moment. And that's why intentionality is the key. So remember, you're not failing, you're just following a well-worn path. When you think you're failing, don't think I'm failing, think I'm following. And what are you following? When we're not failing, we're following a neuro pathway that we've read it in. But the good news is you can change your neuro pathways. Everything that goes up must come down. So I know that I can have a drink when I want and I can have what I want. I sure can. I can. Nobody's making me be alcohol free. Again, 9 years. Nobody's making me do this. I didn't have to sign up for a court appointed program like mine. We don't do that. Like I didn't have to do that. I chose to do this. It is my choice. It is still my choice. And there's freedom in that. But when the craving comes, I'm like, oh, I recognize the craving. I know, I understand. I get it. I still have cravings. Less for alcohol, more for just ejecting or numbing out of life because life gets livey. And that's when I'm like craving. Cue trigger, craving. can still be there. Now, all of a sudden, I'm still in the driver's seat though, because I'm aware, I'm mindful, I know what's going on. And I also know that there is a heavy price to pay for that 20-minute buzz. Come on, 30 minutes tops. And then you got to drink another one to keep it going. Otherwise, it's going to go down. And there's nothing worse than hitting that euphoric high, that buzz, and being like, and I'm done. 30 minutes. That was fun. No, nobody does that. I don't know anybody. I do actually know a handful of people that just drink one or half of one and leave it. I'm sorry. You're probably not on this call, literally, or watching me. If you're a person that you order a glass and then you leave some in the glass at the restaurant, the one that you ordered, I was the friend that was like, I'm just helping. I'm just helping the waiter clear glasses. I would literally drink other people's drinks. Anyone? Do I have anyone out there? Leave a comment below if that was you. If you're like, oh, or this was me and my girlfriend, y'all. This happened all the time. I'm just giggly about it because it's just so true. We would go out to dinner, little girls' night out, usually again, orchestrated by me. I was a total ringleader. We would go out to our little favorite places where we already knew our table, like our table, and we would order drinks and we would all try to be good because maybe we'd worked out together earlier that day and we would all get our first round. That was customary. And then the waiter or waitress would come back by, can I get y'all another? And we'd be like, we'd all look around at each other. We were really thinking about it. Like we were really contemplating. None of us were. We all knew we were. We'd like, yeah. We'd act like there was like a struggle to decide when really none of my friends, because we all drink very similarly. We were like, yeah, okay, yeah, okay, yeah, I guess it will. Yeah. And meanwhile, inside we're like, bring it. Where is it? Bring it on. Like, where is it? Bring out the second round. Everyone's all cool and calm about it, like we're loving it. And then the waiter would come back by. Can I get you another? Okay, now that third glass, I'm sorry, socially speaking, when you're out, that's the one where you're like, no, we're gonna look like a kind of a lush on that one. So what we would do, I have a dear friend, I will not name her name just in case she's ever on these calls. Love you, Renee. She and I would look at each other, and there was just a knowing that she wanted another one. I did too. My Lord, we'd been sitting there for 2-3 hours. Okay, hours. I knew she wanted another one. I wanted another one, but we didn't want to be that person that ordered the other one. So we'd be like, I don't know. We'd act like we weren't sure, but we really did. And we were like, I don't know. Do you want to we'll take one more and we'll split it. And we would just totally half a glass of wine just to save face with each other and ourselves. I think we were just making ourselves feel better. So then we would totally do that. We would split the third glass of wine. And then sure enough, we'd be there for another hour because we chatty group of girls. Can I get y'all anything else? Do you want to split? Anybody want to split? And we would just start splitting drinks to get more drinks. Oh my gosh, I'm just looking back. Y'all, this is 9 years ago and it is so fresh on my mind. I can't even tell you this story. I can see myself doing it. And what is that? It is the loop. It is the loop that I am talking about. It is the pattern. And it is so hard to get out of on your own in isolation with a bunch of willpower because it's the substance that's creating a thirst for itself. It's our very alcohol-centric society that is literally the marketing and the messaging, especially towards us as women. It's the rosé all day. It's the poolside, but I'm on vacay. Bring it on at 10. Let's start with the mimosas. Let's have the beer. Let's have the wine. And then we'll end it with like champagne and dessert. I did it. I drank sometimes on vacation for hours, and all socially acceptable, all what we're doing. And that's just a loop. So if you're trying to break out of that, if you're listening to me and you're like, oh my gosh, she is reading my mail, I probably am, because it's my mail too. But I'm here to say there is good news. There is great hope. You can be fun and sober-minded at the same time, and you can break out of this loop. So if you hear me say anything on this point, even though I went on a wild tangent story time, this is a pattern issue, not a discipline issue. This is not about you wanting it more wanting change more, that is, and just trying harder. This is about you having the right tools, strategy, and support, and a lot of grace from above, because I know for sure there's no way I could have done it without my faith. But I also know just my faith by itself, with just me praying alone on my back patio while I'm drinking, asking God to take it away, while I'm hanging on to the wine stem with like literally white knuckles. Take it away. Jesus drank wine. I was so confused. I was literally so confused because I knew I wasn't walking in freedom, but I also didn't want to walk with a bunch of rules and legalism and go back that other way that also seemed way out of balance and not freedom either. I just wanted freedom. And that's what this journey is all about. AF. So with that, I'll see y'all out there. Bye, everybody. Adios.